this is lesson 59 for 7th grade, and today we're going to talk about adding integers, and we're going to do this on the number line today. I will also show you how to do it without the number line, but that's, with no pun intended, a little further on down the line. I will show you how to do that, but mostly we're going to be working with the number line today to kind of grasp an understanding of what it is when we add integers. The first thing that we need to look at, though, is what are integers, and we've seen them before, but we want to recall that the integers include all the whole numbers and also the opposites of the positive integers. So basically they're negatives. So if we look at 1, the opposite of 1 is -1. 2, the opposite is -2. So it's all the positive whole numbers plus their opposites, and we also have 0 in there. Okay, so 0 is included. Obviously, anything above 0 will be positive on the number line. Anything below 0 is going to be negative. Okay. So they say here the dots on this number line mark the integers from -5 to +5. All right, and we're only talking about those the whole numbers plus their opposites. So they're saying right here, numbers between the whole numbers, such as 3.5 and 1.3, they are not integers. Okay, we would call those rational numbers. Rational numbers include negatives and positives, but those are our fractions or our decimals and things in between. Like, for instance, right here, this would be about -4.5. That would be a rational number. We're not talking about those today. We're just going to talk about the integers. But the same rules kind of apply to those fractions and things when we get to those. Alright, but today, just integers. Okay, so all numbers on the number line except 0 are signed. So they're either positive or negative. 0 is neither positive nor negative. Okay? Positive and negative numbers have a sign and a value, which is called absolute value. Now, the absolute value of a number is its distance from 0 on a number line. Okay? So if we take a look at this, we have our numeral. It's a +3. That's the number that we're talking about. The sign is it's positive, and the absolute value is 3. Okay? And I think I have something here. Oh, not quite. Well, let's look at our number line quick. We'll go from, hopefully this marker is a little better. We'll say 0, +1, +2, +3, -1. Sorry. Space these out a little bit more. -1, -2, -3. Alright? So we've got all of our positives on this side, negatives on this side, and the arrows here indicate that we would keep going in the positive direction, and we can't keep going in the negative direction. But let's just take a look at our +3 here, and remember, absolute value is its distance from 0. So how far away is 3 from 0? Well, we count 1, 2, 3. So that's why the absolute value is 3. Okay? Now -3, that's over here. It is a negative number, its sign is negative, but its absolute value is the same. Its distance from 0 is still 3. 1, 2, 3. So -3 and +3 have the same absolute value, or they have the same distance away from 0. Okay? So that's something that's going to come up in the future for us. So we want to remember that absolute value is distance from 0. And the way that we can write that, and we already said they're both a distance from 3 from 0, we use 2 vertical segments to indicate absolute value. So these 2 lines with the 3 inside, this means the absolute value of 3 is 3. The absolute value of -3 equals 3. So that's what we just showed. Okay? So if you ever see those 2 vertical lines and a number inside, everything always comes out positive. okay? A negative will come out positive. A positive will stay positive. The only time you need to worry is if, and I don't know if we'll see this yet, if we have a scenario where we have negative 3, okay? What would that be? Well, negative 3, the absolute value of negative 3 is 3, but you also have this negative sitting outside, okay? So that is not inside here, so it doesn't apply, okay? That would be that case, but if we don't have that, then it comes out like that. So that would be one of those crazy scenarios, but we should be okay if it's just a number and an absolute value sign. So everything always comes out positive. If it's already positive, it'll stay positive. If it's negative, it will come out positive, okay? Because we're talking distance from 0. And the reason it can't stay negative is because distance can't be negative, right? You have to always be a certain distance away from something, unless you're right on top of that 0, okay? So 0 is the only thing with the absolute value of 0, because you're right on 0, obviously. All right, talking enough. Okay, let's take a look at these. The absolute value of negative 2.5, or the distance negative 2.5 is from 0. Well, shortcut says we can just say this will come out 2.5. If you need to convince yourself, go ahead and draw it. Make this a little more since we're going negative here. Alright, so negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. And 2.5 is about right there. So we have 0.5, 1.5, 2.5. Alright? So it's 2.5 away from 0. Not as easy to draw out for 100, so you kind of have to believe that how many units away from 0 is 100? Well, it's 100 units away. Okay. Negative 1/2. We could use what we have right here if we wanted to. But we know that these things come out positive, so it should equal 1/2. If you're not sure, here's 1/2. It is 1/2 away from 0, and the absolute value of 0 is 0, like I said earlier, because if you're on 0, you don't have anywhere to go. That means distance from 0, but you're already on 0, so it stays 0. Okay. Okay, we've got these two to do. This says 3 minus 5, okay? Now we want to do what's inside here first before we apply the absolute value. So 3 minus 5 is negative 2. And now we have the absolute value of negative 2. So how many units away from 0 is negative 2? It is 2 units away. How about B? We want to do 5 minus 3 first. And we get 2. How many units away is 2 from 0? It's 2 units away. So those A and B come out to be the same, even though one is a negative 2 and the other is a 2. They both are 2 units away from 0. Or they both have an absolute value of 2. Alright, next slide. When we add, subtract, multiply, or divide directed numbers, we need to pay attention to the signs as well as the absolute values of the numbers. In this lesson, we will practice adding positive and negative numbers. A number line can be used to illustrate the addition of signed numbers. Positive 3 is indicated by a 3-unit arrow that points to the right. A negative 3 is indicated by a 3-unit arrow that points to the left. Alright? And they give us examples of those. Absolute value comes in handy when we add without using the arrows, but for today we're probably just going to use the arrows, and then we'll talk about some of the other ways to add first. But we can see that the sum of positive 3 and negative 3 is 0. And this will always happen. The sum of two opposites is always 0. So any two opposites, negative 5 plus 5 is 0, negative 100 plus 100 is 0, 1 million plus negative 1 million is always going to be 0. So if you add two opposites together, you're always going to get 0. And we can see that you always start at 0, and if we do 3 plus negative 3, we go to the right 3. We always start at 0, so go up, go over 3, 1, 2, 3. And from there it says we're going to go minus 3. So back 3, and we end up at 0 right there. Okay? So that's kind of how we use the arrows, and I'll show you how this works with a couple other examples. Here we go. Okay. Show each addition problem on a number line. So they want us to do these on the number line, which is fine. So let's put our 0 here, and let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My negatives will have to be small. Alright, so up to positive 5 and back to negative 5. So we always start at 0. Alright, and first thing we're going to do, it says we're going to go back 3, or negative 3. So right there to negative 3. And then from there, we're going to add on 5. So we're going to go up here, and we're going to go 5 back this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over to that 2. And that's where we end up. Okay, so this should be positive 2. You don't have to put the positive sign if you don't want to. You could just write 2. But we went back 3 first, and then we went over 5 from there. Okay? Now let's look at B. This one is go 0. We gotta go further negative this time. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, 5, 6, negative 7. They get a little jumbled there. Alright, first thing we're going to do, we are going to go minus 4. So that's going to bring us to right here, minus 4. Then we're going to go up, and from there, we're going to add on, but we're going negative 2, which is this way, negative direction, 2 more. So 1, 2, right there, and we stop at negative 6. So this equals negative 6. And for today, they want us to just use the number line, so that's what we're going to do. And probably in a couple days we'll introduce how to do this without the number line. And we'll do that, or we'll work on that separately. But that's all I have for today. So we will see you next time.